Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Battle Royale League, where this week, in week 4, we're going through some very interesting modes, which we'll talk about in a second. First off, just a quick summary of what happened last time around. We had some interesting results. No one really dominated last time, as you can see there of the results. Probably the best one, the one who came off with best, was Jake Lines, who finished second and 3.5. But the unfortunate thing for him is that he is not available today. He's got some internet problems and can't participate. One thing I have to correct from last time, apologies for that. Pwndnoob was right. Only the 8 best results count. So you've basically got 4 results that you can just cross out, your 4 worst results, obviously. So it's not the end of the world for Jake that he can't participate today, but it takes away some of his leeway in which bad results would otherwise be crossed out. And the modes today are country no moving single guess and distance no moving panning zooming single guess. I'm joined as always by Radox, who's in the background and probably won't be talking much other than informing us about what's going on in the results, but he can talk about more if he wants to. And of course, Pwndnoob. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me back. I'm interested to see how it goes without Jake. Notably, Jake, while at the top of the table, has never actually had a solo win. His best result being that week 1 first match where he tied for first. And he's not going to get first here if he's not participating. So we're going to see 2 more wins, and it should result in the leaderboard here just tightening up, especially near the top. It already is. If you look at Milan, Trichter, and Dennis, they're all within 1 point in the race for second and presumably the race for first. I'm really interested to see how these no moving games go. We have both this week and potentially next week also are just these no moving rounds, which really stress our players to not be able to run around and especially with the single guess too, you're not going to be able to do the triangulation and all the metagamey stuff that comes with Battle Royale. It's really just down to, do you know what you're looking at? How's your foliage game? Do you know what trees look like?
Yeah, we'll have a lot of waiting until people make their guess, and then a lot of bad guesses this week, and that's just the way it works. Not that the players are bad. Sometimes you just can't really tell enough from one still frame of somewhere in the world that you can make an accurate guess. Some places just look similar. And yeah, you mentioned it a bit as well on regards of the table, how Jake hasn't had any wins. The interesting part about him now missing these 2 events is not only that now those 2 already take up spots in the results that will be crossed out, but automatically, because he's missing these 2 games, that also makes it easier for the other players to get good results in these 2, and therefore maybe cross out some of their worst results that they've already had. Like you can see there, for example, Dennis's 6th place in the first event, or the 2 5.5 places for Trichter, or the 1 5.5 and the 5th place for Milan there.
My favorite thing, of course, being Mako there at the bottom has been getting the participation award. Will get at least 8, though I would love to see if Mako can pull off an upset here and get even closer. 7th. We saw that last week with Brother Tom getting a second with otherwise unimpressive results, really showing themselves in what was the no moving panning zooming multi guess. And we have its sibling in the single guess here. So I'm hoping that maybe Brother Tom can do it again, or Mako can show us. We can have a bit more turbulence here in the standings. I think we have a bit before the boys get in here and ready to play, but I think we are good to go. Anything else you guys want to add, Redox?
Yeah, it's gonna be another interesting day. Not much more to add. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think just one more thing before we get started. I think especially in the distance, no moving, panning, zooming, single guess, we'll have a lot of turbulence, so to speak. A lot of results possibly where you wouldn't have expected those to come out that way, and that might be a chance for Anko to disturb that perfect streak of nines there.
I'm excited. So let's do this. It's perfect.
All right, let's get going. So now we're ready. Everyone's joined. We've also got Pwndnoob in here as pretty much our second commentator, because as we said earlier, Jake isn't here, so we might as well fill up the place. And we're going to get ready for our first round of Battle Royale countries. No moving, single guesser in 3, 2, 1, go. And what do we start with? That looks Mongolia? Something like that?
Yeah, it has the incredibly unique, what is it? The people crossing with the 3, which, like, the 3 is only, like, Eastern Europe or Asia, and then it kinda has to be Mongolia or Kyrgyzstan, but I think the car implies it's, uh, you're right, it's Mongolia.
Yeah, the car is similar in Kyrgyzstan and Mongolia, with the bars at least. The thing that tells me it's Mongolia here is mostly the landscape because it's super deserty and there's not really a place in Kyrgyzstan that looks quite like this. And
How
yeah,
did Mako go? Oh, no! It is a single country guesser, and we do lose Mako and Brother Tom here on the first
yeah.
guesses.
Marco I saw guessed Russia. I don't know what Brother Tom guessed. Well, probably Kyrgyzstan, I assume. I would be surprised if he had guessed Kazakhstan first, considering there's no Street View there. Yeah, that's kind of the thing
Yeah, the
about
Kazakhstan flag there is throwing me off
yeah.
entirely.
That's kind of the thing about country single guesser though. Like usually in these games, the first round is free because we are not going to be guessing. But I mean, you still have to get the country right, otherwise you're not going to be advancing. Um,
On that note, I am going to be guessing. It's
yeah,
definitely Chad.
sure. It's Paraguay. It doesn't really make it doesn't do much if you guess once.
Why was it not Chad?
Ah,
Okay, it was Mongolia.
yep.
We rationalized that out correctly, and
There's a trash can that says Suez, so we're clearly in Egypt.
that doesn't sound right. But
Yeah,
this is lovely, though.
yeah, just the Netherlands. Yeah,
Yeah,
you had the yellow license plate there. Yeah, just the Dutch language. And
we lost saw too. Biggest clue here is going to be the telephone pole. It just looks like Romania, right?
it does look
With
like Romania.
all these fences, just being.
Trish just
There.
locked in first. You're just waiting a
Milan
bit, but
second, Dennis third. It's gonna be yep, Romania, perfect.
pushed
It's
Italy to
just those
drop
like
out.
mismatched fences. When we talk about fences, you're often talking about like South Africa with the incredibly aggressive, like "don't come here" fences,
Mm,
and Romania with the disheveled, mismatch fences.
yeah,
Here we have some language.
fairly
Yeah,
obvious
Iceland.
Iceland. Yeah, this is interesting.
Ooh, a tunnel.
Cool
What
tunnel
is
as
that
well.
bollard? It's just like a red strip there at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, it could be. That's a weird bollard. But it could be Slovenia, maybe.
Yeah, if you're in a hilly place that you can't identify, Slovenia is always a good choice. Milan being the bravest, I think the players are potentially
Nope,
looking for
not
someone to
Slovenia.
get something out. Yeah, Dennis going for what might have been the most obvious of choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think and I know very, very little about bollards. These kind of look like the bollards of Austria, but I know the Slovenian bollards also look pretty much the same, and it doesn't look like Austria to me, which it also isn't because Michael guessed there. Montenegro, okay.
Yeah, I didn't notice it because of the lighting the first time, but there's I think 4 countries that have like the bollards with the little hats on them, and Slovenia and Austria, 2 of them. So good guesses, but Montenegro also makes sense.
Mm.
This
We've got some
doesn't jump out to
German
me.
there, so Switzerland makes sense. And
We did lose Michael there, and then we're down to our final 2, Milan and Trichter.
yeah,
We've been favorites throughout the whole uh, tournament league. Uh, the trees have the little white paint in the bottom of them, and I feel like that means something, but I just cannot recall what it is. They both locked in, though.
Romania.
Romania.
And what have you got here? It looks like the US just from that no stopping anytime sign that we see there. American
Yeah,
Airlines
the only other option
Southwest.
would be only other option would be Canada, presumably, and the trees just don't look that far north.
Yep, United States. And this one's pretty. I don't know what it is yet, but let's see. Oh, Norway.
Yeah, Norway makes sense. If it's not Norway, I mean, it could be something tricky like super hilly, like Faroe Islands sort of garbage, but I
Yeah, it looks
don't think
very
so.
similar to the Faroe Islands, but I think the camera just didn't fit it.
Yeah.
And what have we got here?
Random cities are hard, man.
Yeah,
This feels like I've seen places like this in Canada. Um,
it
like I want to say
could
Alberta.
be Australia.
Yeah,
Okay.
Australia. I wonder where this is in Australia, though.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know. It looks a bit hilly in the background there, and I don't think there's many places in Australia that are hilly. Where could
I
that
also
be?
really wonder what they found that identified that as Australia. Presumably some meta thing that I'm just not too privy to, but that did not give me Australia vibes.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Something like there's just no real place that I can think of where I'm like, oh, it fits that general area. Maybe a place in Tasmania or something like that, but
To be able to figure that out in 10 seconds, or less, is very impressive. I think we're good to go. These guys are in the lobby nice and quick, but
yep,
really good
rankings.
stuff from our players.
Yeah, rankings are just as the first results were, so don't really need an update on those just yet. So we might as well get ready for game number 2 in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, there we. It should be Romania again. I was wondering a bit there, but we've got that little street sign there to the side, and that is a typical Romanian one. As Dennis and Trichter are the first ones to lock in.
Yeah, no rush here because again, we're gonna have to drop out.
Yep.
So they've got plenty of time to think about what that sign could possibly mean.
Ooh, Pashtetli guessing the Ukraine. Very odd considering, well, the sign isn't in Cyrillic. So I can only imagine that he didn't see the sign.
It is way off to the side. I don't necessarily blame him for that. The more people get it correct, the more confident you can be that it's just the more obvious thing. Like we
True.
saw this last week where it was either Russia, Ukraine, but everybody was guessing it. And in that sort of spot, it makes sense to just go and say,
Mm.
okay, I think it's probably just Russia, because Russia's the more guessable country.
Yep. What have we got here? This kind of looks like tracker coverage, which always makes it interesting. Is it just India? The language looks odd somehow to me, but it is far away, so I can't really see it properly.
Oh, we can turn around. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we can. Can't move, but Satya going with Tunisia.
Yeah, presumably didn't necessarily. From what I can see, is that just Sri Lanka?
It could be Sri Lanka, but
Yeah, I see the classic. If you're looking at the building, the classic letter that looks a bit like a butt, should be.
It was India.
It was India. It wasn't. There wasn't like the line across though in the language that you usually see with. I want to
India
say.
has two languages.
Yeah.
Well, India has lots of languages, but two main alphabets. And this must have been in the southern area of India. And three quick locks for this one, which is interesting. It was
Yeah, it was
Czechia.
the bollard being
Oh,
orange
okay.
is Czechia or Slovakia, and they all successfully, except for Trichter, got the 50-50,
Yeah.
or not even a 50-50 if they had additional knowledge.
Yeah. Everyone locking in here quickly. I mean, the first thought when I see this is always Indonesia, but it was Thailand. Which is then always my second thought. It's probably not Indonesia, so it's probably Thailand. Do we have it?
Yeah, quickly just figuring out. This looks very similar to the Romania round we had earlier.
We have a slightly unblurred license plate on the black car to the west, but I can't quite read what it says, as everyone already has locked in Romania, so it's not like it really matters. And this one, just from the start, looks a bit like Spain to me, maybe? It's. I mean, looking at some of the language, it still could be. Could also be
I'm interested to see if
Portugal.
they guess quickly here. This feels like a round that you want to just see someone else go out in and
Yeah,
confirm that your suspicions are not correct.
it's definitely Spain or Portugal, but I couldn't say for sure. There's just very little bits of language here and there. Milan guessing France. Oh, must have not seen the
Yeah,
language. Uh,
on the poll, you're seeing
yeah,
the language with the orange.
yeah. There's a couple more
Uh,
things where you can see like slight bits of language. There's like one green-ish part of a sign to the north. But again, just a few letters here or there. And
My suspicion with Milan is the palette on the like heavy equipment sounds like a bit more French. We
elevaciones still sounds Spanish to me.
yeah,
But yeah, broader Tom guessing Croatia there. Milan going with France. Both of them out. So we're down to a 1-against-1 between Dennis and Michael in probably Russia.
we have Cyrillic, and it looks like Russia. If you can get a license plate, that would uh
It was the Ukraine. Okay.
yep. That's just as I said that the license plate there. There's one blue car that you could see it, and it's the blue and yellow on the license plate compared to
Hmm.
just the white of the Russia that can split those two.
Yeah. So we've got Dennis winning the second one ahead of Michael and Milan. Milan tied for broader Tom in third. Radox, can you give us an update on how it's looking in total after those first two games?
Yeah, this win brings Dennis into the first place with 15 points. The scoring is a little bit more difficult now because Jake is not playing, so the amount of points is I need to calculate a little bit more. So yeah, he's in first. Milan and Michael are together in second with 14 points. Then there's Trictor with 13 and a little bit points. And after that, there's a big gap to the rest of the players.
All right.
I
So
think with Jake out, this is a good week for Michael to have a really good week. Because he has some really good results. He tied for first with Jake in the first week. He had some good results. In our last cast with the two uh matches that happened then. So if he can get like a top three here, I think Michael's gonna be really happy with himself. We've
yeah,
lost a few of the flyers that we had earlier, I feel.
yeah, and Michael did just finish second there, so I was a bit surprised to hear he's not yet anywhere up there in the total rankings, but he must have finished very far down in the first game, which I don't remember anymore because it's more than 2 minutes ago. So I think everyone's ready for the third game, so we can start that in 3, 2, 1, go.
Ooh, a sign.
Ooh, let's zoom in and see what it says. Uh, Probably like Spanish again, isn't it? I mean, the sign is Spanish,
I
but
think
yes.
there's a more useful sign that says Chile on it to the
Yep,
right.
I just saw that. Yep, that might be slightly more helpful. Just a bit.
I'm feeling Zambia.
Oh, now you confused me because you guessed Zambia, and I was like, oh, there's someone who guessed wrong. But no, it was just you. Um, I'm not gonna guess yet because I do think. Oh, brother Tom guessing Colombia. He's not the most observing person today, it seems. Um, I think it speeds up the timer a bit if only one person remains. So I'm holding out until Anko has made his guess.
Yeah, you can be the good person. Yeah, there's multiple things on this sign. It says .cl
He
in the
guessed Hungary.
domain code, and then it also says Gobierno de Chile. So it's
Yep.
very much Chile. I hope these guys are looking around. If they've forgotten that they are allowed to do that, like I did for the first spectation,
Yeah, I mean,
they would be having a lot harder time.
yeah, that's kind of like the only way I can see guessing Hungary making sense, but you never know. And this looks, what does this look like? Michael
It's
guessing
European
Spain.
and a lot of white brick.
Just Portugal then, I guess?
Yeah.
Zatsu hasn't guessed yet. He's the last one who needs to decide. Malta. Ooh, that was an interesting part of Malta.
I held back on my words. A lot of the white brick
Yeah,
gave me Malta feels. But it was like it wasn't the outskirts Malta that like really jumps out at you.
yeah, I had the same
Um,
thought. Like the architecture looked like Malta, but the
Come on,
landscape
Trictor.
didn't to me.
Trictor just gets in there. There was
Yeah.
a domain on the truck there for .nl, which is the Netherlands. So they all do get it, but Trictor took his time.
Mm. I mean, you can take your time until the bar is yellow is gone, but if you have like one bit of slow internet connection there, then it could be too late for you. We just in that.
This looks awfully generic.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't really know. Could be anything really. Especially guessing Serbia. I mean,
Serbia's not a bad shout. It's the hills in the back towards the north that are throwing me off slightly, because otherwise I was considering like one of those like Eastern
yeah.
Croatia guesses.
I'm looking at
But
the town entrance sign to the east in the distance, and it kind of looks like it's two lines, but I don't know if it's just two lines because the name's so long, or if it's in Latin and Cyrillic. Um,
which Serbia would be a good guess for.
would be yes. I think what other countries have that sometimes? I don't know actually. Uh,
I mean, there's a bunch of countries that have that, but definitely aren't this. Like Ireland, for example, with Gaelic. But
well, yes, but I was thinking about countries that have it with Latin and Cyrillic, specifically.
I always does Montenegro?
I'm not sure. It might. Yeah, I think it does in some places, but
They all guess at the last second, just
yeah,
refusing to. And
Bulgaria.
the
Yeah,
loser here is Tatsu. Three Bulgarias coming in just on the dot. Brilliant play.
I think that could that have been some of the new Bulgaria coverage. It just didn't really look like Bulgaria to me. Uh,
Yeah, I mean it's not wintry, which is one thing, but
yeah,
also I think the newer camera definitely doesn't ring Bulgaria necessarily. This is lovely.
yeah.
No clue where it is, but
Not Israel. I can tell you that much.
Israel. I see that.
I can
It's
see it.
wrong. It's
Yeah.
not Israel, but
I'm thinking Portugal.
you really like saying Portugal, and I don't
I
think
do.
you've been wrong too often in that regard. It's been Portugal and Spain quite a bit today.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Portugal and Spain area with the castle in the background towards the west. The church also a bit maybe. Um, the people are also relatively clear of European ethnicity, but they might just be tourists. I mean, you never know.
There's enough of them where I think we can say that yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
just Europe.
likely.
We're not like Singapore's like has a bunch of like touristy gardeny things, but we're not in Singapore, so
No,
don't worry about it.
I doubt Singapore would have a church like that or like a
Oh,
fort,
true.
castle,
Yeah.
stuff like that in the background. But yeah, the garden itself could technically be in Singapore like that. But oh, Milan guessed it
Milan gets
correctly.
it.
It was Spain, yeah.
They both got it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that in that a decision between Spain, Portugal, or make something up, they both identify it.
Yep.
And we have another round, but this one has a welcome
Oh,
sign to the city
right. Belgium.
and a Belgium. Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah. And this time it's Malta. I don't
Yeah,
even have to look
this is
around for that.
classic Malta.
Yeah. All right, this is what I usually think of when I think of Malta.
Yeah, when I said outskirts, this is what I was
Yeah.
describing. If it's somehow not Malta,
I was
both
thinking the
these guys will
same.
get it wrong anyways, so
It
they'll
is Malta,
move
yeah.
on. Exactly.
Now, is this Baltics or is it just Russia?
With the yellow behind the people crossing, I generally associate that with Russia, but I do believe it does exist in one of the Baltic countries. It just looks like Russia, especially with the bus stop, though.
Mm. And it was Russia. Dennis
Dennis gets
guessed.
it wrong. Interesting. Or sorry, Dennis
Dennis
gets it
guessed it
right.
right. Yeah.
Milan get it wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
the bus stop there is which did involve having to turn around, but they're all over the roads in Russia, and I don't think there was any language though, so I don't
No,
think
there
Dennis was
wasn't.
too far off.
It just reminded me of the typical intersection on a long straight Russian road where you got like one road that's going off of it in like a 90-degree angle.
And you cross fingers that you're going to see a sign, and there's never a sign for no reason.
There's there's always that one sign that's like this small town is 2 kilometers uh, along that road. Nothing else. But anyway, yeah, that was game 3. Dennis winning ahead of Milan and Trichter, who I think all were kind of already up there in the ranking. Michael down in 6th. And yeah, Radux, what are the implications on the overall ranking? Still pretty close, I assume.
Yeah, of course, Dennis with his win, he strengthens his lead. Milan broke up the tie with Trichter and is now second. So Dennis is at 24, Milan 21, Trichter 20, Michael at 17, Satsu at 11, Pastetli at 10, Brother Tom at 9 points, and Anko Mako at 5 points.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
without Jake, the top 3 is pretty well defined, and they're proving themselves. We are missing a player. What is the status on them? There we go. It's Calamity.
yep, I hadn't clicked on play again yet. And it does look like Anko Mako is going to continue his streak, at least for this one. Well, he can't finish 9th actually because there's not 9 players here. So maybe not. Anyway, we've got one more game of this to go. Country moving, no moving single guess before we move into the also very, very interesting category of distance no moving single guess. So we're going to start the last round here in 3, 2, 1, go.
I sense like a bit of sarcasm, but I think distance, no moving single guess, is quite interesting.
There was no sarcasm in it being interesting.
There's a
It
sign
certainly will
here,
be
and it's
interesting.
blurry.
Yeah, what could this be? It's Southeast Asia for sure, but is it just Thailand somewhere?
I think it. I think it kind of has to be. Um, just with the language, I don't think that's Cambodian, but it's very blurry in that blue sign. It does look a bit like places you see in Thailand.
Yeah, it is also green and not blue, but
It does help, yeah. To note, the blue signs are very common in Cambodia because of their political party.
yeah.
Because of how common the political parties are, I want to say there's only one of them. Uh, that sign is everywhere and has the gentleman's face for the leader of Cambodia,
There's
at
only
least at the
there's
time of
there's only one rich political
the photos.
party in Cambodia that can afford to put
Yeah, that
signs
makes
all over the
sense.
place.
We have 2 people who've guessed, and everybody else is just hoping that somebody else will get it wrong. But
Brazil
Brazil
is
is
an
not it.
interesting one.
The
Anko got it
not seeing
correct.
the yeah, let's go Mako. Not seeing the sign, which definitely wasn't Latin.
Yeah, Cambodia there for Michael. So another place Anko makes up.
I think with the Cambodia guess, that will make our other guessers a bit more confident.
Yeah, it was
They just
Thailand.
really could not get much out of that sign, which, to be fair, was very blurry. I just
Hmm.
hit.
Oh, and there we've got the Route Nacional 68, which tells you you're in Argentina normally, even though the area doesn't look like Argentina at all to me. Oh,
Yeah,
Satu
anybody?
guessing America.
Yeah, I think Satsu just fell to the time there.
Yeah,
Not getting the sign,
didn't see the
and
sign.
everybody else being so quick.
And Anko's still in there. Brother Tom as well. And the 2 usual ones, Mia and Dennis. What is this?
And this is very testing. There's a cute little sheep. There's a palm tree, but otherwise,
R isn't any special. Brother Tom guessing Thailand. Wouldn't have been my first guess. I can sort of understand it.
I'm trying to think of places like you wouldn't be able to see the car in a road like this too. And I just,
Brazil, maybe?
yeah, I think Brazil, or if in doubt, it's a really stupid Colombia sometimes.
It
Both of
could be.
Mako and Brother Tom are out and confirmed with Milan getting it. Now Dennis is all alone with not much information. with the
Yeah,
previous incorrect guesses.
I think just the massive river to the west normally points me towards Brazil. Whenever
Another Sri
there's
Lanka guess
yeah,
from Dennis. Yeah, Brazil.
glad to finally
We
get a
lost
difficult round right.
I was a fool and hit play again, so if I can get an invite to the next game, that would be appreciated.
Does that not automatically put you in the same lobby anyway?
Let me check.
I mean, it can send you another invite, but
Oh, I'll just click the old link. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm being
yeah.
silly.
All right, we've got our last game of the country mode for this week. Radux, how did it end up?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated now
Did Anko not
because
finish last? That's the only thing I care about.
yeah, he actually did not finish last by 0.01 point.
Nice.
Actually, it's so close, Pastetli. Although that means I probably will have to go back to recheck that later on. But yeah, should be. And we have a tie at the top
Ooh.
because yeah, Milan won, and the other three went out all together. So they got the average points of the second, third, and fourth place, which is 6.72. So that means Dennis doesn't win. He does win, but he ties with Milan with a huge gap to the third one, which is Trichter at 22 points. Michael at 19 points, Brother Tom at 16, Satsu at 15, Ankomako at 12.58, and Pastetli at 12.57.
Yeah, I think we'll check the math on Mako and Pashitelli to make sure that it isn't just actually a tie. But
Yeah.
good
Well,
stuff there from
one
Mako.
thing is that
Either way.
I do round up or down the scores, but I think that should be correct.
I mean, you probably shouldn't when it comes to things like that.
Well, then the number would be extremely long.
I mean, you can
But-
round up or down at
but
the
if
end
it gets
result, but
close,
you
yeah.
can't round and then calculate based on the rounded numbers.
Either way, Mako
yeah,
is
that
getting.
I don't do that.
Okay, well then
Yeah,
it should be fine.
I think. Well, yeah, I have to check anyway, I think.
Yeah, also the thing is Excel doesn't actually round correctly all the time, especially if you involve lots of numbers. So it's sometimes good to just manually check and not always trust Excel or spreadsheets. But yeah, it should probably be fine, but just to be safe, you'll double check that later.
Yeah.
Either way, Mako is getting even more points than we expected. Obviously, he wasn't going to get last with Jake taking the week off. But if he beat Pachitelli or tied, that is some extra points there for Mako. With what was a really good last round, getting tied for second with everybody else who failed to identify that as Brazil.
Yep.
Congratulations for Twitter for this round win, but with that, Milan and Dennis take the early lead here, and this is going to put them in the driver's seat for catching up to Jake, who again is not here this week, but is the general leader before this week started.
Yes, and now we're gonna have a short intermission while we get the next lobby ready, and we'll be right back. Okay, everyone's ready now for the second event of the day. 4 more rounds. This time, distance, no moving, no panning, no zooming, single guesses. So basically, you're not allowed to do anything. And we'll see how many people are half the continent away or more. Let's see how many people can get 15,000 kilometers away. The worst thing about this game mode is that you'll guess wrong, you'll see you're 15,000 kilometers away from the person in front of you, and you're not allowed to guess again. And yeah,
This is going to be fun. Let's
it
do
is.
this.
So let's start game number 1 in 3, 2, 1, go. All right,
I'm
we've
wondering
got something
with
here.
single guess if like really hedging your bets is a smart thing to do.
I think especially at the beginning it is. In like the first 1 or 2 rounds. I mean, in the first round it doesn't matter at all because we'll be out. But after that, like round 2 or 3, it might be a good idea. I feel like somewhere in Europe, just guess somewhere central if you've got no idea where it is exactly.
Yeah, I think the most extreme example I can think of is if you see a field and it's like, okay, this could be France, could be Poland. You could guess in Germany,
Yeah.
which is never going to be the correct answer because all the coverage in Germany is pretty city-based, not rural. Please don't guess, Maku. You have
It
no
doesn't it
reason to guess. You're good to go.
it doesn't matter though, because he's got only one guess per round anyway, so he might
Oh,
as
he's
well.
fine. Yeah.
I do wonder what the people down there on the left are doing. Like they're standing back to back, looking in opposite directions, sort of having that meaningful look of there's something going on there. But it was Poland. So that's good. Everyone getting sort of close. Satu in Russia there, not too far
Yeah,
away.
Maku already stealing my strategy
Yeah,
with random German. No, that's not Germany. That's
nope.
he guess.
Yes, Czechia.
Yes, Czechia. Interesting.
Yeah, and ooh, this yellow number
But I
plates.
saw a yellow license plate, and it does not look like the UK, so I'm gonna say it's Israel.
It's quite possible. Yes, it also doesn't look like the Netherlands very much. So yeah, could be
True.
Israel. The thing is, it doesn't
Actually, that's
actually.
front. It's a front-facing yellow plate. I'm now giving misinformation. It's not the Netherlands or Belgium. It's gonna be Israel. Now, where is it in Israel? It looks fairly hilly, so I feel like it's gonna be further away from the coast, but
Yeah, the thing is,
that's just speculation.
it doesn't look much like Israel to me at all. Like it's not doesn't look like it's far away, but it's not the typical Israel I think about. So that leads me to suspect it might either be like somewhere suburban of Jerusalem, something like that, or
Mhm.
Palestine.
Yeah, I would have said more towards Jerusalem than say like northern Israel,
Yeah,
just based
definitely.
on my instinct. But other time you do have to
It
guess. He
was
does, and he actually gets first.
sort of a suburb of
Yeah.
Jerusalem. But actually on the Palestine side, so I was right twice. And yep, Bestetli getting first, and Brother Tom going out with. Actually, no, Michael went out. Did Michael not guess?
Brother Tom actually jumped to the top with a very last second guess. This is classic, by the way. We just get here's one building. You do get a bike, which is much more common in Southeast Asia, which is where I'm gonna say that we
Yeah, but
are.
usually I think the building alone should have already kind of with the nature around also told you that you're in Southeast Asia. Which Southeast Asian
Uh,
country though?
I'm just immediately jumping to Cambodia.
Yeah,
Not that like with Cambodia, you usually see buildings have risers so they don't get
stilts.
hit by flooding. But it's just the coloring. Just it looks
Yeah.
like a Cambodian flag kind of deal.
uh,
Michael is saying he guessed. It's another annoying
Michael
situation.
Michael did guess. Brother Tom got it in at the last second.
did he guess? Because
Oh,
he wasn't shown in the results. It was Thailand, by
Hmm.
the way.
Brother Tom didn't guess there, did he?
Yeah, he didn't. It might ask Brother Tom if he guessed this time and didn't get counted or something, because it might be bugged. I don't know.
yeah, he's writing something now. Thought I was out. What? I don't know.
Oh, did Brother Tom think he was because okay, that's not a bug then. That's just Brother Tom
With only these,
not paying
do we just want
attention.
to cancel it here now? Just because both these players and there's only two players out are the ones having the issues.
Well, Radox, you're the one who has to
Uh,
decide. I don't mind either way.
uh, I don't know
We can also
what
just play it
is.
out and then make the decision later. And play 5
Yeah,
rounds.
I think I will check later on the video and see what Michael,
Yep.
what happened in the video. If Brother Tom guessed very late or something. Yeah.
Is this a random Japan round, by the way?
It doesn't look
Like
like Japan to me, but
I just associate these with the plants with like Okinawa for some reason.
I don't really have any location in mind where I'm like, uh,
No, that's
Colombia.
why. Hey, at least two people did go with Japan. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not alone in my weird suspicions.
And Satya lost with Malaysia. And
Yeah, this is the problem with the Pacific Ocean is it is large.
yep.
We do have a sign there that says pare, stop in Spanish. But doesn't mean too much. There's a lot of Spanish countries. This amount of greenery, my instinct's like pretty southern Chile,
Yep,
but
I
I
had the
want to hear your
same
opinion.
thought. Are you sure it's Paris stop? I mean, it's got to be stop in Spanish, I guess, but is it
Yeah.
also stop in
You
Portuguese?
uh you do see alto um in some of the Spanish countries too. It might be in both. I'm not just trying to identify any time I've ever seen a stop sign in Brazil. I'm not sure they exist. I don't think they ever stopped in Brazil.
I think they do. They must exist in Brazil. But I couldn't tell you with 100% confidence. They either they must say para in Brazil. Otherwise, I'm going crazy. But yeah, it is sort of southern Chile. And Marco going out there guessing Brazil.
One cute little thing I like about Chile is most of the roads are just north-south, just because Chile is mostly north-south,
Yeah,
and that road was straight north-south too.
this one's too.
Yeah.
It's not Chile though.
No, it's giving me those like South Africa that isn't Swaziland or Lesotho, but you want it to be vibes.
I had pretty much the same thought without the Swaziland or Lesotho one. Um, it does kind of look like South Africa. You wouldn't really know how to place it though. Maybe somewhere in that area of well, now export Elizabeth, or somewhere north of Cape Town, or somewhere in the Far
Yeah.
East.
Uh, it's more. I mean, it's not. It doesn't look like Lesotho, but
No, no, no.
it could be in the realm of Swaziland.
I
It looks like
don't
Pachatelli is going to be out, and
think
I believe they've already
so.
guessed.
Yeah, and it was Australia.
Or it's
Yep.
Australia. Pachatelli going out with a Spain guess though. It is like the deserty part of Spain that he guessed near Zaragoza, but everybody else figured out it was Australia. Maybe something on the road that we just missed, but good stuff to them. 3 good Australia guesses.
Yeah,
And now we have some generic, I'm gonna say Europe, but
yeah. It's definitely Europe.
if you see a canal, I mean Netherlands comes to mind, right?
Netherlands. Yeah, Denmark maybe. Poland. There's a lot of places it could be. I don't think it's like Spain or Portugal. I don't think it's too far south either. But anything from like the Netherlands to Estonia, I could imagine it being.
Yeah, the reason Estonia comes to mind, I think these are called birch, like the white trees that
Yep,
you see
they
here
are.
are pretty common in like the northeast portion of Europe,
Mm,
and everybody's taking their time. I haven't seen a single guess yet.
yeah, there you go. Dennis
Dennis
ahead
Milan
of
right in,
Milan.
and
And
it's gonna be Milan out.
yeah, and it
I'm really interested in
was
this one.
Finland. Yep,
Finland. That's northeast as much as it gets for Europe.
yep.
So the birch were the key here. Everybody I think figured at least that portion out, but just not aggressive enough. Putting it if you got anywhere near that Finland, I think you're not hedging very well.
Yeah, that's also another sort of the counterpart to what you said earlier about kind of hedging a bit and being like, well, if I might guess more to the center and be like closer. If it's then in like the complete outskirts of a region, then well, bad luck for you. What is this?
The telephone poles are distinct, but don't jump out to me as any particular country.
Distinctly
And
something we don't
otherwise,
know. Uh, Kind of the
maybe
cars give me like that Southeast European vibe of something
yeah. I
like
was gonna
North
say, is this just
Macedonia.
like yeah? I was gonna say Greece.
It could be. Yeah.
Greece is like my go-to when I don't know what it is, and it's hilly.
Yeah.
In a lot of senses.
They've both guessed, and now Dennis has to sit there and wait for the time to run out to confirm his loss.
He has 11 guesses and he can't use them.
Yeah. It was Turkey.
Wow, 2 very good guesses, and it was Turkey.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's got a sting to lose with a guess like Dennis's here.
He must have been very close too. Just to see it as like 20 kilometers or less, I'd say.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where I'd like want to go into like Google Maps and just pull out the distance measurement and go like, okay, how far was it? But we can't right now. We've got a tournament to host.
I do like Trickter's guess better just because he found a road that made sense going east-west. It was one major road up, but um,
It's
I
kind
think
of the
Trickter's guess was that sort
mentality.
of thing that could somehow sneak in that 5K, right?
Yeah.
Compared to a more hedgy guess that doesn't really have a precise place that actually adds up to
Mm.
what's in front of you.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think Michael is rejoining the game
yep.
because maybe he said something like he said someone in chat already said GG, but for him the round was still going, so something might be weird. I don't know.
Well,
I
technically, the
think
thing is, they'd already both guessed with like 10, 15 seconds to go. So since it's single guess that they know they can't guess again, so they might as well write GG, right?
Yeah, just that it's weird that it should happen. It should end at the same time. So something. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
like pretty much the game was decided 20 seconds before it ended.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Michael can't really know if the game had ended for the other person yet.
I think there might have also like Brother Tom might have accidentally double guessed and knocked Michael out or something. I think the most prudent thing to do is we just play 5 rounds and we either cancel out the 5th round if that round was legitimate or cancel out that round if it wasn't. Assuming the players have time for another 5-minute game of Battle Royale. They seem to like Battle Royale.
Yeah, the problem then is kind of like you punish the person that wins now or that won the game now. That's
True.
Yeah.
then we should have cut it earlier. But yeah, there's never a perfect solution.
Yeah, I think the best way generally to go forth is just saying if there's some bug or some other problem, it's just bad luck on your part. It can happen to anyone sometimes, and there's just not really any good decision where you can say, okay, we're gonna play this again now, and because there have been incidents in the past where we didn't, so it's not like it'd be consistent in any way to just replay that now.
Either way, I think we are good to go. The
Yes.
next game, Michael is back. If you want to give him the heads up, we'll jump in here shortly.
Okay, yeah. Told them yes.
All right. Well then, let's get into the next game in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, some nice trees.
It's a free round, and I think they're going to be thankful for it because
Yep.
these are some nice trees.
Actually, it says there on the bottom left on the car, Czechia. Got the domain there. That's something that I'm interested in. If I mean, people might just randomly guess here anyway, but I'd be interested to see how many would spot that.
It's like half a C and a blurry Z. Yeah.
But maybe my screen's a bit bigger, so I can read like all the way from the www at the start.
Oh wow. Okay, you can see a lot more than me.
I mean, you say a lot more. It's like 1.5 centimeters more.
Oh, maybe that's my problem. I have my it's being blocked by. Nope. I was hoping it was maybe being blocked by what would be the like the start bar at the bottom. So you do need to guess. You're somehow doing worse than two people who haven't guessed.
Yeah, that's probably not it. And he didn't guess.
Uh,
I mean,
do we just cancel?
right now we could if Radox writes it quickly and tells them.
Yeah. Let's cancel then.
Yeah. Okay.
No idea what happened. That's you. What happened?
First, the important part is cancel, and then you can ask him about what happened.
Yeah. I've wrote let's cancel this round and restart.
Which also means I'll have to make a new lobby because otherwise we're gonna
with
have
a
to wait like
new
10 minutes.
Link.
Yep. All right.
It's just going to be a continuation of what we've already seen with Jake out, where players are going to have slightly better results just because there's less competition here for these next few rounds.
We'll make the rounds a bit shorter as well. With only 7 players actually competing now. and it'll get even more fun for Radux to calculate. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So Radix, if you can write them, we'll start in 15 seconds. So we'll probably actually start in 20 seconds from the point you've written them that we'll start in 15 seconds. But we've got 3 more games to go. And we'll see how those go with only 7 people remaining. Yeah, now Anko's in an even better position. Gotta take every chance you get. And now the
Hungermock has been playing pretty well today too.
yeah.
Other than that, like completely errant hungry guess,
Yeah.
where I'm not sure how he didn't see the sign that had the domain and the name of Chile on it. But I think Brother Tom also messed that up.
Yeah.
Maybe they just weren't looking around. It's hilarious to me. But they've been playing pretty well, as has Brother Tom. I'm not 100% sure it's going to result in them having fantastic results here, like necessarily in the top half or anything. But it's nice to see, especially as they've been playing more. Potentially just the idea of playing all this battle royale, they're improving over time, which I think is one of the goals that you should have.
Yeah.
If you're joining a competition like this, is simply just enjoying improving and enjoying playing.
And we're ready now for the second round of the no moving, panning, zooming, distance guessing. And we start in 3, 2, 1, go. And we
Yeah,
start off in
we've called this a free
Iceland.
round, but we did see someone drop out last time.
Yep.
If this isn't Iceland,
Is it?
it looks sure like Iceland.
It definitely looks like Iceland, but the road over there confuses me. Because think about it, how often have you seen 2 roads parallel to each other in Iceland?
True, it is mainly just the one,
Yeah.
just Highway 1 or Interstate 1, whatever you want to call it. Come on, Mako. What's it gonna be? Trick2's doing the worst, which is interesting to me.
Mm,
Uh, these players, I don't think have really taken the trolley. They could just be putting guesses in Africa and still get through this round.
it could, yes. Uh, Got a few more seconds to go. I'm sort of interested in seeing where this is. I mean, even assuming it's Iceland, kind of seeing where in Iceland it would be.
I'd
Especially
say the
because,
southern, right? If there's elevation to your north,
but
you
there's,
expect to be.
yeah, I would actually guess like northwestern, and it was the Faroe Islands. Yeah, that's it.
And that's why, because it was in Iceland.
Yeah, I was thinking that there's no place in Iceland where there's 2 roads parallel like that. It just doesn't exist.
Here comes the country guess. So the intersect, like not the intersection, like the split arrows there look like something some of these players might be able to identify.
It might be, but the thing is, like, this is this is nothing I've ever paid attention to. Um,
Exactly.
Usually,
Dennis
yeah.
and I'm gonna say Maku might not be as confident. It's just the lack of
Oh,
confidence making the early guess. Brother Tom takes the early lead. Trickter, I believe,
Milan.
is the one person with a guess in pocket.
Yeah, you can always tell on the left-hand side. Everyone who's green has already guessed once, and everyone who's red has either guessed once and is last, or hasn't guessed yet. Well, in
And there comes
Trichter's
Tricker's
case,
guess.
both is true. He has now guessed and is still last. I don't know where this could be. It looks European.
I mean, the left car
Spain,
looks.
maybe.
Spain's not what came to mind for me.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Finland.
further east.
Yep. All right.
Finland, I was thinking more. I don't know, like Slovakia. Just I would have been through. What was the awful guess? Trickter taking the risky anti-hedge and putting it in Chile. Maybe got a hint of sun that just wasn't actually truthful.
Yeah. This one looks a lot more gettable. It just looks like Baltics to me. Um. Now, which one of the Baltics? I have no idea.
I don't see white flowers, which I associate aggressively with Estonia. So I'm gonna say more towards like the Latvia, Lithuania idea. But the Baltics, I mean, there's a reason they're called the Baltics. It's a region that looks very similar.
Yeah, it
Uh,
feels like Latvia to me, but that's just a feeling. I usually associate these kind of like pebble roads that have like curves in them with Latvia. Estonia usually has more like straight roads if they're rural.
Yeah.
And Anko seems to be out, as it is Estonia, but on Humar. Okay. Like all the way at the bottom there.
Is that? There's like some islands out here that are even considered Swedish, but
That's definitely an
here we.
Estonian one though, yeah.
Yeah, that was close enough to Estonia. This is a hedge and a field.
Certainly is a hedge in the field. It sort of seems British to me. Not just the hedge, but also that building there in the far right seems sort of British to me. Could also be Ireland.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ireland, British Isles, if anything, but
Yeah. In an extreme case, it could maybe be something like Belgium. But I do think like the British Isles is much more likely.
I'm gonna say it's not Wales, but like close to Wales would be my wager. I'm not sure if Brother Tom has guessed, but they've been pretty quick on their guesses, and I think they're all out, and so they have to sit here in shame. Uh,
And wait until the timer runs down. And it was, yeah, not a bad guess. Not too far away
what
from
it?
Wales.
Yeah, I would have been a bit northwest, but like more or less where I was thinking. Just those hedges. If you've seen Geoguessr, it's like Tom Davies videos. He's crossed across hedges that look just like that
Yeah.
way too often. This I really wish I could look down or look around because I have a suspicion it might be something that may be quite medable.
I don't know actually. It might be, but I don't actually think so.
You think this might just be what's the sign over there doesn't look American?
No, it's
Is
not.
it just Australia or something?
Yeah, it's definitely Australia or something like South Africa. The thing is, the sign reminds me definitely much more of Australia, but the buildings remind me more of South Africa, as
The
well as
sun
that
is
kind
in the
of brick
north though.
wall. Um,
Yeah, I think the sun's in the north. There's some tropical stuff.
that's
The
the
sign, like the street sign, looks. I'd be really annoyed if it's Auckland.
Sydney.
Yeah, okay, perfect. It's just Sydney.
Yeah, and
It was
Prairie Wood.
just.
Or,
It's
or
about as
close.
not Sydney as
Yeah,
Sydney gets.
and we're back in Europe with about as little information as you could have. There is a telephone pole there in the distance, and you actually get to see pretty much the front of it, so you could gain some information from that.
Anytime I see a silly fence, I'm like, it's Romania, but the roof looks really nice. Like this house
mm,
looks kind of well kept, which isn't necessarily the first thing that comes to mind when you have Romania.
I do still think it's
Um,
Eastern Europe, but it
yeah,
might
for
not be
sure.
Romania, yeah.
If it's, I mean, if it's Romania, it'd be southern Romania, which isn't a terrible hedge for things like Bulgaria or Hungary. I think Hungary is probably where I'd end up if I took all the time, but
Yeah, it could be.
the Poles don't like this is the logic that comes a lot in battle royales is okay, these telephone poles, I know that they're not these certain countries that have a different style.
It is
Um,
Poland.
Poland would have been one of the countries I thought it couldn't have been because of the poles. So
We're back to we talked about this briefly before we started the show where we were like sometimes we just think something and then don't actually say it out loud. That was one of the cases where I thought it could be southern Poland, but nah, let's not say it.
no.
This well
Yeah.
we see more trees, but also some architecture. It kind of reminds me of Spain.
You've been pretty good on your choose between Spain and Portugal today, and you're feeling Spain.
I've
I
actually been pretty bad choosing between Spain and Portugal. I've been good at choosing the Iberian Peninsula and being right on that.
I think they've both guessed here, and it's going to be Pashtelli over Michael. We have seen this quite a lot, where both these players are not at the top of the standings. There's two or well four players if you include Jake. Oh, Michael hasn't guessed; he now is out. But uh, these two have like been at the top against each other quite a bit, despite their not being in the top three in the
Mm.
general standings. And Pashtelli gets the win this particular time.
Yeah, nice one for him. And it was Turk. No, Greece actually. Rhodes. Okay. I mean, it
All
makes it
roads
makes
lead to the
sense.
road.
It makes sense based on the architecture, but it didn't come to mind for me at all. Um,
I'm interested about that Italy guess because it's a good hedge for what it ended up being.
mm,
But Italy wasn't the first place that came to mind for me.
yeah. Interesting thing as well about Pashtetli, I think, is that I've noticed kind of that he's always been either like right up there in sort of the final, or he drops out really early. I've very rarely seen him around like third or fourth place.
Yeah, I think there's some players like Jake has been pretty conservative and pretty solid as a result. And then you see someone like Trickter who just dropped it in southern Chile. Uh, and it's like, okay, Trickter, if you're right, this is a fantastic guess. But if you're uh, if you're right, you're also going to win by thousands of kilometers because nobody else is going to follow you here. It's just a riskier play, and I think that's probably where Pachatelli's running into issue too. Is
Mm,
if you're either winning or getting knocked out early, um, there might be a bigger game strategy that you could be doing to be a bit more conservative.
yeah.
It might also just be a knowledge gap, right? If you know most things, but you just have a place that really throws you off,
Yeah, sometimes you
or
get
multiple
unlucky in
places.
the first round. Sometimes you just get a set of locations that you're quite familiar with. But yeah, we've got through the second round now. So Radux, I think we've had a big change in terms of who was on top this time compared to the first round. So I'm assuming the standings are pretty close overall.
Yeah, they are pretty close. At the top, we have now Pastetli in the lead, which is a rare sight, but pretty good for him. He has 14 points and a little bit more. Milan is at 13. Dennis is almost at 13, so just tiny bit behind Milan. Trichter is at 10, Michael at 8, Ankomako at 6, Brother Tom at 5, and Satsu at 3. He still hasn't messaged anything, so I guess we can continue then.
Yep.
Wishing the best. Calamity, you are the one person missing from this lobby.
Yes, I haven't pressed play again, as always, as I'm the one who has to start the game anyway. I can wait as long as I like, and you all have no other choice but to comply. As we might as well get the next one going in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, is this just... Hmm,
Oh, this is
this is weird.
this is one of those things where Bhutan is a terrible hedge if it's not Bhutan.
Yeah, I had the same first thought, but like for some reason, usually you see those kind of not bollards, but sort of blocks on the side of the road in Bhutan, but they don't look like the typical ones you see in Bhutan. Um,
Interestingly, every single player came in the order that they guessed. As in, the more confident they were, the better they did on this leaderboard.
so I would assume it
Mockers
is
does need to
Bhutan
guess,
based
please.
on that. Uh,
Yeah, it does definitely give me that confidence.
yeah, there are other places that kind of look like this. I mean, Sri Lanka somewhat does, but you'd expect more trees probably. Is like one specific road I have in mind in Bolivia that looks like this, but is like a bit more dry, and just Bhutan fits the best based on everything. And it
Yeah,
was, but far east.
I was gonna say, there's like a road in Peru where I was like, okay, but
Mm,
uh, Bhutan, you don't see it as often in these battle royales as you used to. I think they've changed the algorithm to have a
mm.
bit less end or still get a ton of Singapore, but I don't think that's actually a problem. Is that sun in the north, or is that just a weird?
I pretty much never look at the sun because I always get it wrong.
No, it's not. The shadow of the house is it's a pretty horizon effect there going on.
Yeah, I don't actually
The reason
know.
I asked, by the way, is just feels like it's Europe somewhere. But the sun in the north would be kind of would defraud that.
I wanted to say New Zealand based on my
Really?
first impression. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's true, but that's the kind of feeling I got with it. Like pretty big hills in the background as well. Looks like Broder Tom is the one who will go out of this one.
If that's the case, we're
Nope,
10,000 miles away. And yeah,
no
Brother
way.
Tom falls for your trap, the New Zealand trap,
Yep.
but it was actually a northern sun, and it was a very northern sun. With the hills, Norway makes sense, right? There's not
Yeah.
too many places that have that much elevation in Europe, but Norway is definitely on the list.
What is this?
Is this like one where you look around and you see the rift, but not even. It's just I associate so the back right hill
Yeah.
looks like you see in on that like Mediterranean coast of like Croatia,
Mm,
Albania, Montenegro. Um, but it's so hilly. Like this is
yeah.
ridiculously hilly for even that.
The one thing that's actually interesting is here is that we both have like a big red bar at the bottom that says you're knocked out. But you can actually see like the beginnings of a guardrail down there. And I think if you don't have that bar, that guardrail may tell you a lot more about what the country could be. Um, but yeah,
What countries care about safety? If
too
Brazil doesn't have stop
too
signs,
too few. It was Sardinia. Yeah, that makes sense.
huh?
I was
Even that's quite hilly for what I associate with
Yeah,
Sardinia. So
there's a lot of Sardinia that's pretty flat, but also quite a few very hilly parts as well.
we get some bollards, but it's just the backside, which is the less interesting. Um,
But you get both
if that
sides. You get the back side on the left and the front side on the right.
oh, that is the right side, and it's the yellow version, which I believe is one of the Baltic countries.
This is not one of the Baltic countries, is it?
I know that like there's another one that has
Oh,
yellow.
okay.
I've been trying to learn bollards in part because for my own GeoGuessr, but also to have a bit more knowledge here. And I feel like if you put your face really close to the screen, you can get a bit more information here.
I want to say it looks like Belgium to me, um,
Hmm.
but there's not a lot on best.
Does Belgium even have bollards? I feel like
I do
it's either
not pay
Belgium or
attention to bollards.
yeah, either Belgium or Netherlands just doesn't have
Switzerland, okay, like very
very
far
close to the
north.
border too
Yeah. All right.
into almost Germany. Yeah. Was there just a low camera that we just missed? Because everybody got that interestingly.
I don't see low cameras either, but probably I assume so. Um, and we're in Europe again, but this time a bit more eastern, I guess.
I do love that we have three different telephone poles here, which have one that's just a tree that's been cut down. That has two poles and then a metal one here on the left for the lamppost.
This tree pole doesn't look safe. This is not the kind of
No.
thing you should use for infrastructure.
Yeah, like 2 feet away from the road. Just like imagine if
Yeah,
someone ran into that.
it
The car.
kind of looks like the thing where the first big storm comes along and it just falls over.
I think the bigger clue here is going to be the buildings. If
Yeah,
you have a architectural knowledge, but we're looking at Eastern Europe no matter what.
yeah, but not too eastern. I think it could be something like what could it even
Eastern
be?
Europe, but like they prefer to be called Central Europe sort of area. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
that's
much that.
again. Are you kidding me? That oh, this was Slovenia. Okay,
Yep.
I zoomed out here and saw Austria. And I was like,
Uh,
got excited. No, Slovenia makes more sense, but it's like the flat portion of Slovenia.
Michael was about 2 roads over from the right location.
That's impressive. Uh-oh. Guess what
Hey,
time it
who
is?
can find a right road in Singapore? It's Singapore time. Yes.
We've been missing out on our Singapore, and unfortunately, we don't have the ability to zoom. Not that I think that any of these really are road signs.
No, there's no zooming wouldn't help here. At least, well, not on anything we can see in the picture. Maybe you could zoom to something outside of the frame. Um, Mila, I'm guessing right now. I don't think you can just go off of the road directions and find the right place in a minute. You could get super lucky, which I'm assuming Michael and Trichter are hoping for. But I'm also assuming there's plenty of roads in Singapore that kind of look a bit like this.
Yeah, I think this is a
Trichter is the
sort
one
of
who
round if
loses
you're
out.
trying to do like you're playing no moving, panning or zooming, like diverse world, and you're trying to get like 24,000. This is the round that you just wish for because you could spend a lot of
Yeah.
time trying to find a road with 2 lanes that was going northwest, like this road ended up being. They all went a bit more downtown, and it's Trichter who's the unlucky one who drops out. And here we have a classic GeoGuessr final. It's Milan who's been the favorite versus Michael who's been playing better here. He has more guesses, and it's a generic dirt road.
Yep. Good luck on that one. I don't even know 100% which continent it would be. Like, my first impression was Southeast Asia, but it could also just
Hmm.
be South America.
Yep, this is the sort of round where Ecuador sneaks up on you and goes, haha.
Yep.
I think
Or
it could be Paraná, Brazil, with these trees there,
oh,
kind of like down there,
It could
thank
also
you,
be,
Redox,
yes.
for the
but
insight.
not sure really.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Southeast Asia, that it's a dirt road is interesting in itself because a lot of the roads there are just aggressively concrete. Michael does lose. Milan gets the W, and we get to find out where this is in the world.
Hmm. It was in Minas Gerais, but Radox very close there would have won. Milan guessing in Mexico and winning over Thailand from Michael.
Where is he in Mexico? Just somewhere in like
Far
not
south in
even Yucatan.
Chiapas.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess I see it, but the the victory here, just refusing to go into Southeast Asia, means Milan gets the W.
yep.
Interesting stuff. This is why no moving distance with single guess. If these guys had more guesses, I'm sure they would have pinned it down to at least Brazil.
Yeah, definitely. And we kind of got what we thought we would get after seeing the round, which is just two random guesses somewhere that were both completely wrong. But Milan just a little bit closer. And Michael again though up top there. I think he's had one of the other two games where he was pretty far up top as well. Then Tricht in third place. So Radux, how's it looking after 3 games with only one to go?
Yeah, Pastetli had a tough round this time, dropping out in his home countries and only earning 3.5 points. So he now dropped to second place. Milan took over the lead. In third, we have Dennis. Then Michael and Trichter are almost the same, 0.01 point apart for fourth and fifth. Anko Mako is sixth, Brother Tom seventh, and Satsu eighth. He still hasn't
Yeah,
messaged me.
wherever he may be, he will stay in 8. I think there's nothing
Probably.
nothing we can change about that.
Yeah, now it's too late. Yeah.
Yeah, as we're about to get ready for the last round, we'll see if Milan can do what it takes to keep that win, and if anything goes, if anything changes between the people that are trying to catch up to him. So let's start in 3, 2, 1, go.
It's always fun when you get those extra 5 seconds and you just get to see nothing.
Yep.
This foliage, like the bushes here, look very unique. Though. I feel like is this like Senegal?
That was my first thought as well. Yes. Um, good thing
It
again
has that like
for the
trees that you see with Senegal that makes me want to look up and see the rift.
yeah. The good thing for the players here is that it doesn't matter where it is. Um, it's just yeah. Senegal usually has that kind of reddish brown soil, and also it kind of just looks like the way the roads in Senegal are usually paved. With the little bit you can see there at the bottom. So I'd be surprised if it wasn't Senegal. Um, I really hope it's not Australia. I don't think it is, but we've been
I
wrong
think we're
before.
literally looking at the beginning of the rift too, where it's darker on the left side than it is the right side.
It was Kenya.
Oh, it's Kenya. Again, another place where if you just had the meta, you'd be a lot
Yeah,
happier. But
it's super far out there as well. The coverage literally stops in Garissa. That's the most eastern coverage of Kenya, and we're like 10 kilometers next to that on the road.
okay, we gotta get one where you gotta put your face into the screen to see what that sign says, or more accurately, just the language of it.
Pretty sure it's Cyrillic, but
Yeah, and that matches up with the license plate there, which has the "Hi, I'm Europe, but I don't bother to have the badge," such as
yeah,
Russia.
the trees,
If we,
yeah, the trees sort of feel odd to me.
yeah, exactly. For it to be Russia, the trees, it's not going to be like near Moscow sort of stuff.
Hmm.
It's going to be like southern or like super east. One trick if you're concerned about it being super east, if you see like a bunch of Japanese cars, that can be a tell.
We've got a
Just because
Renault
they
here, a Ford, I think
a friend.
there. No Japanese cars. And it was Ukraine, just in Kiev, capital Gesa.
Huh. I guess maybe they just planted those trees because those trees did not
Probably.
look like what I'd expect in the middle of Ukraine.
Yeah, not expecting those either. Ooh, this could be
We've
interesting.
not had around like this so far.
I don't know where this is. There's a couple of places that spring to mind. It looks like distinctly Southern European, but where there? Is it Italy? Is it somewhere in Spain? Is it Greece? Maybe? It could even be
Was that a
something like Tenerife or Gran Canaria.
Yeah, the foliage is confusing, and confusing often results in something like it being uh Tenerife. I really don't care to speculate right now because as soon as I say something, it's gonna be incredibly wrong.
I'm gonna mention
It's gonna be like,
Madeira as well, just to throw it out there. I think I've covered most of the south of Europe, and as well as those island chains. And
oh, Trickster,
and
Trickster
that's
knew.
and that's why I mentioned Madeira, because it was Madeira.
It was yeah, in Mexico.
Yep,
Madeira, perfect.
nice.
Trickster avoiding the hedge and gets rewarded with more guesses that he won't be able to
Hmm.
use.
What have we got here? It says
Uh,
Reussport, which sounds German, or I mean, kind of could be Dutch or Belgium as well, but it doesn't look like that, like Netherlands or Belgium to me.
Should be Switzerland.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident because it looks very familiar to me. So everything houses this machine, the way things are written there, everything.
yeah, that makes
It
sense.
should be.
It should be.
is, is this just like a ticket provider?
Yeah, I think so for the bus, yeah,
Yeah.
or the train as well. Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a bus stop here, which is interesting though because I've never seen like a ticket dispenser for a bus
Yeah,
before.
that's actually quite weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
but the machine itself seems somewhat familiar.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Lucerne.
Okay, maybe because it's a city, they also have it at smaller stations,
Yeah, Radox, go
kind of.
go to Lucerne next weekend and get a ticket from that machine.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm. We haven't something that's identified itself as Asian.
Yes, I I didn't see that at first. Yeah, the Asian Heart Institute. Um, I wanted to. I don't know. The thing is, with no moving, panning, zooming, you have no idea if this is just some random university in India. If it's not, it can't really be anywhere other than Bangladesh,
And
just
if it's
based on the
Bangladesh,
writing.
you want to say Dhaka, just
Yeah,
capital guess it up,
it,
but
it looks pretty big, but it doesn't look like Dhaka to me. But again, there's no other place I would say it looks like in Bangladesh
there's a
either.
lot of English in Bangladesh and Dhaka.
Yeah,
So like seeing both the language in Latin and also I'm gonna say Bengali.
It was
Um,
India, yeah.
no, it was India,
Yeah,
and
I
one
did have that
person
feeling.
was foolish enough to go. Uh, a decent hedge there, saying, okay, it might be India and doing it in West Bangladesh, but it's not enough to get away with it.
Mm,
And Trickster's just seen the round before. He just put it in Mumbai and was very much correct.
yeah. And this is this just Singapore? It looks like Singapore to me. Or is it no, is it? Is it Malaysia?
Uh, so Singapore, I know the trash cans instinctually, and
Mm,
then but I don't actually know what they look like. I just know that when I see the Singapore trash cans, I'm like, "Ooh, hi Singapore." These don't give me those same shouts
mm,
that I usually associate, so it might be something like Johor Bahru just across the border.
yeah,
But
it
it does
could
have that like
be.
posh, posh like
Mm,
Southeast Asia, which often ends up being Singapore or the nice parts of Malaysia.
yeah, I did for a second there think it was an S on the trash cans before I realized it's just a recycling symbol. Um, but yeah, I'm
Trickster looks to be out here.
yeah,
He's made his guess and he's
he's
in
out.
last place, despite having
It was Johor
hey,
Bahru,
hey,
pretty much outskirts.
two of them figured it out. Trickster loses with a just a generic Singapore guess.
Yep.
Um, I'm happy to see that my logic made sense, but it did also make sense to our players, and they've been rewarded. If you are familiar with your country guesser, you'd know what these four-man crossing is, but don't ask me right now. I'm
I was kind
racking
of
my brain for
I
what
was
it is.
kind of waiting for you to say, and it means this. And then you
It's not
didn't.
Russia. I think it's Scandinavian potentially,
It could be like always
which
that.
adds up with the yellow and red uh sign,
Yeah, that was
like the caution sign.
what I was about to say. Those yellow signs always Scandinavia, but which probably Sweden.
It's yeah, I think it's Sweden. Didn't catch if Milan has already guessed, but Dennis has, and Milan's been guessing pretty quickly. I think we have a winner here. Not surprising to see Dennis and Milan here in the top two. They've
Mm,
been at the top here all day.
yep. And it was Sweden, but all the way in the north in Haparanda, small town
Yeah,
there.
that's a border drop. Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't get that this was particularly far north vibes. Uh,
Yeah,
Neither did our players.
it can be difficult to tell in Sweden. I did have like a fleeting thought of it kind of looks a bit north, but I've been wrong about that lots in the past, so I wouldn't have been able to tell with any certainty. But yeah, we've got Dennis ahead of Milan and Trichter for our last game of the day, something we've seen quite a lot. Um, and yeah, Radux, what's the end result? As Radux is probably not finished calculating yet.
Yeah, I can see the sheet is still being
I
updated as
forgot
we
to
speak.
unmute. That's
Ah,
my bad.
okay.
So yeah, Milan won the game with 29 points. Dennis in second with 26. Pastetli in third with 23. Trichter with 22 in fourth. Michael with 17 in fifth. Ankomako with 11 in sixth, which is quite a success for
Mm.
him. Brother Tom in seventh with 10, and Satsu, who only played one round, with 3 points, the eighth and last place. However, we have to look into the what happened in game one with Michael, and this might have a slight change. Although, it seems like at least Michael's position either way will not change, but it might have a small effect. So maybe Pastetli and Trichter would change, but it's very unlikely. Yeah, it's probably everything is going to be stay the same, whether we give Michael 5 points when in doubt or not. So yeah.
For the scoreboard, do you want to just put some nines in for Jake?
Yeah, the question is that better or not?
Because right now, Jake is very much top of the leaderboard, but it's also because they don't have two numbers added in.
Yeah.
The scoring is going to be the best 8 ranks. So assuming that Jake is able to resolve their internet issues and get two more results similar to what he's been able to do previously, his best 8 will resolve itself, but that does result until Jake resolves that. It looks like he's gonna slip in at about 4th place, just because ninth places aren't particularly healthy for your score uh, in the short term. What that
Yep.
puts us at is Milan takes the lead at the moment, with Dennis in second and Trickter in third. But with Jake having a very healthy chance at pulling it into what will now be considered a comeback, just because their score looks pretty rough with two nines on it currently.
Yeah, I think maybe it's best for the next time to that we just um, discard the 4 worst ranks and show the ranking this way. I think then it would be more accurate and show Jake higher
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
could do
for
that. Yeah.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Jake's 4 best ranks. He's gonna be in top 2 4 times, which is very impressive. I don't see. Yeah, I think Dennis can also claim as much. And otherwise, that's really about it. Milan's strength here comes with a lot of consistency, that isn't necessarily been shown by anybody else except for Jake.
Yeah, and that will do it from us for today. That was the 4th event out of 6. So we've got 2 more events, 4 more game modes to go. I'm not sure yet if we've quite decided for the next week yet whether we will switch up which events will happen. There were some thoughts about that, but you'll definitely find out next week. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us again then. Bye.